so, to my first guest, he is a poet. His name is Yahaya. He's a poet and a musician because we did a little bit of a chat during the musical break. So, Yahaya, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We had a poet the other time.
Yeah.
And, as I keep telling everybody, poetry is like really difficult for me. So I'm really excited when I get to meet poets. When did you start writing poetry? Why did you start writing poetry?
Well, I started writing poetry 5 years ago, and I took to writing poetry because I realized I had a deep passion for the society and wherever I'm coming from, and I realized there's a lot of things going wrong with the people, and together with myself. So I was asking myself, how can I make this? I mean, in a different way. How would I speak to the people? What kind of voice am I supposed to use? And I realized that there's power in a pen, and so I started penning messages. And I realized that instead of just penning them into messages, I can make them into a style. Yes, and so I started writing when I joined creative arts.
Okay.
Yeah, I started writing poetry basically from there, and they gave me more understanding about the thing.
And how has your music, because also you're a musician, so
Yeah.
how has your music impacted and made your poetry more full?
Well, so music was just entertainment for me then, and I didn't understand it so much until I took to writing, and then I realized that, well, instead of just singing and entertaining people, I still can talk to them like entertainment. So ever since I started writing poetry, my music has changed. It has taken a different shape. Now I try to do music that is more of meaning than just
More
entertainment.
conscious music, yeah?
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's also changed you as a person
Yes,
as well.
yes.
Okay, so how many poems are you going to read for us today?
I'm reading two poems.
Okay, so which is the first one?
A Hero with a Thousand Faces.
Okay, I'm looking for a hero with 1,000 faces.
Yeah.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to that. So take it away.
I have become a hero with a thousand faces, from experiences I had in both my wanderer and warrior cases. It is a war, the life we live without choices, depressed of fighting for the oppressed without voices. Nonetheless, it is the least we can do for the masses. The journey has been a long one without traces. The African struggle is a puzzle of maze. Solving them require new ways. The world outside us changes when we change inwardly. The actions of society is cowardly. The interactions of humanity is hatefully. It is sad. We love when we do not love like the Creator. It is sad. We can create and cannot live in Eden as inspired by the Creator. It is sad. The brotherhood is not as brotherly as we call upon peace and unity to be greater. The world is ours to take care of, and not ours to destroy. We have all come to meet it, and so shall we return one day, live in it. Why then the nuclear Troy? The war is not over until it is over, when we live in just. Without being impartial, we bring back trust. No one is ever perfect. We all turn to dust. The soul that pens this ink is the body's guest. The soul in everybody deserves the best. And in this judgment, no one is best and no one is worst. The worst is the evil that lives within every being. The world is the kingdom of God, and everything in it belongs to God. A hero with a thousand faces.
Explain the title to me.
Well, a hero with a thousand faces. I realize I am a hero with a thousand faces. God is a hero with a thousand faces. A lot of people are heroes or heroines with a thousand faces. Basically from their experiences. If only you are somebody who has consciously thought about the things that you are here to do as a human being, you would realize that God is, I mean, he's in everybody, and he's trying to use everybody, make us be live together with each other in coexistence. You know, everybody has got a role to play, and I realize that my role is not just to write, but to also inspire and motivate.
Okay, let me throw a spanner in the works. Have you had a situation where you've met somebody, interacted with somebody who has made your life difficult, but overcoming that, you've become a better person?
Yeah,
You know that thing,
yeah,
that thing where people come into your lives to shake you up.
yeah,
You know, some people come for a short time, they shake you up and they go, and then you'll be angry. But once you take a step back, you realize that, oh my gosh, this thing was good for me,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I've been to the dungeons. I've been to the places, the darker places, and it's all from the people that I've been with, and they are just lovely people who sometimes I would say wouldn't they don't know themselves that much, and that is why they would let you go through what you've gone through. But pain at the end of it all brings you gain if only you
If
can
if
endure.
and you seek the right healing,
Yeah,
because I mean, when you were saying a hero of a thousand faces,
yeah,
and I was thinking, like, as you're right, every human being has different facets.
yeah,
To you, I might be wonderful, but if you go and talk to somebody else, they'll tell you something,
yeah, yeah,
something else
yeah,
about me. And I think we all need that, because it's not only niceness that helps people improve.
yeah,
That, you have to learn lessons.
yeah, yeah.
And I could see that going all through about, what we're doing to ourselves, and the fact that we're all here for the same purpose.
Purpose.
Everybody's here to do something
Something.
good
Yes.
and then go. If you, we had a proverb the other day that was, the person who plants a tree has not lived in vain,
Yes.
was our proverb, I think, last week. And if you don't fulfill what it is you're here to do, then it's actually been a waste of God's time and
Yeah.
and yours. It's fantastic. Can we? I really like your voice. I really like the texture of your voice. When you're reading, it brings a certain weightiness,
Yeah.
like depth to what you're reading. So I thought, let me just chip that in
Thank you.
before you
Thank you.
you read your second poetry.
Okay.
Yes.
So the second one I'm reading is what is it we do not know?
Okay.
The people do not care. They do not love. These people do not have love for their own. Neither do they have love for their own self. How can they love their nation when they have no love for no one? Nobody, nothing. They care about nothing. Nobody cares if the nation and the people stand together in growth or grow corrupted and divided in truth. No one cares. Precisely the way Africans or black people around the world have been the lowest, poorest, defenseless, and powerless of people were the doings of past ancestors. The legacies they left behind for today's generations are evidences of their decisions and actions. There were the truthful few who had wanted a true change. But the 20% good is not good enough against the many 80% bad. This has been the ratio ever since the conquest of Africa. The likes of Nkrumah of Ghana, Namdi of Nigeria, Sankara of Burkina, Malcolm of the United States, Garvey of Jamaica, and many more Pan-Africanists who needed to see their people freed, politically or economically. The few 20% achieved this, only to fail later when power was overruled by the 80% bad. Power in the 2020 today still belongs to the 80%. And we are not talking about the masses or citizens. It is hard today to know the few good who want the betterment for their peoples. If you cannot beat them, you join them, is their rationale. A philosophy that is bent on seeing us divided rather than us united as a people. That has been their ideology. An idea based on a lost descendant. An idea that keeps a people following a conservative method without an actual plan or strategy of their own. And knowledge today is hidden, some say in books, but it makes no sense when students or knowledge seekers are unable to pick up the knowledge in schools. The answer is schools are a part of the conservative system. What is it we do not know? Africa. What is it we do not know that makes us not see ourselves empowered, but would rather see others superior when we can all be superior human beings? What is it we do not know, people of color, when our color was preferred for slavery? What is it we do not know that makes a brother sell away a brother, even if it causes death to the brother sold? What is it we do not know that takes our minds off our homelands, which makes other great nations rule us as colonial subjects? What is it we do not know which makes us feel unperturbed about our future and the future of our nation? A people of a nation that seem to be going forward but moving backwards. What is it we do not know that makes us think we know much when we can do little for ourselves and the nation? What is it we do not know that makes us hate one another so much, more than we love ourselves? Hate so much that we are lost. We cannot see straight, lost not knowing the past to shape our present in the preparation for the future, lost not knowing the path, lost not knowing the route, our way back home. What is it we do not know? And how much do we think when we do not know? What is it we do not know?
Wow. Okay. So I was listening to that. There were certain aspects that I actually disagreed with, and there was quite a lot that I agreed with. But it's also timely for me that you read this because just this week was the International Day of Human Rights.
Yeah.
I went with a group of friends to the Goethe Institute to watch I Am Not Your Negro, which was based on James Baldwin's text. And it's about the situation of the African American. And so he uses in the documentary, which is narrated by Samuel L. Jackson, they use, James Baldwin talks about 3 friends of his who were murdered: Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and then Evers, another gentleman who is not usually out in the public like the way the other 2 were. And then afterwards we had a discussion, literally like this whole thing of how do we as Africans, people of African descent, how we ended up at the bottom of everything. I think one of the issues that we have for our continent was that our history was interrupted 400 years ago.
Yeah.
So the direction we were going in got diverted.
Yeah.
And so Sankofa, there's that 400-year void. You know how it is where you've just gone off track.
Yeah.
How do you go back to that point where you were before the interruption and then be able to move forward? So a lot of the situations you mentioned, they're like, we're going forward but we don't know where we're going. The education is that, and now is the time that we're trying to find ways to
Pick them up.
to pick them up and find a way out of this tangle which was created. It wasn't just something that happened. There was something that people who enslaved Africans wanted to happen to Africa, and it's gone through from slavery to colonialism to neo-colonialism. There's always something.
Yeah.
And it's our job, as you say, to find our way out of, to remove that 400-year burden off our back and
Yes.
find the right path for
Path.
ourselves.
Yes. Take ourselves back home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That's thank you so much for this. I want to ask you, you mentioned about music, you mentioned about how poetry is changing your music.
Yeah.
Do you also, when you perform your poetry, do you also create music for it?
Yeah, sometimes I just basically use that same poetry to do music. So I have a lot of music that are written in poetry form.
Okay. Oh, that would be fantastic to hear some of that another time. And then there's something that I always ask. I've written 2 books. I'm an author.
Okay.
One of the things that I really like that's happening sort of across the continent is we are writing our stories.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to ask you the same question I asked the last poet.
Okay.
When are you going to put this together for the public to be able to buy?
Well, very soon. I can't give a particular date.
No, I'm not asking for a date,
Yes.
but it's important that you do it.
Okay. So let's say in 2 3 years time, because I have compiled so much of a poetry. I have 2 books that is full of
But
poetry.
it's about selecting the right ones.
Once,
isn't
yes.
it?
So that's what I'm thinking of doing. Maybe in 2 years time, I can gather all of them and collect them into a book.
Yeah.
Aside that, I'm also writing a story. This is Africa,
Mm-hmm.
as in to tell our story. A lot of people have told our stories to us, but we need to start telling our stories
Stories
to ourselves.
From our perspectives,
yes,
from our own
Yes,
experiences.
and the fact that we are living with the people, we should know the people better.
Yeah.
So I'm writing This is Africa, which is supposed to be acted in a play form. So
I'm glad you're taking your duty seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you so much for coming. I really enjoyed your poetry. I enjoyed your voice. I enjoyed, your ideas.
Yeah.
And so thank you very much for
Thank you.
joining
Thank you.
us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcomed.